Well, there was a lot of violence yesterday on the one-year anniversary of George Floyd's murder. Here was a scene in Portland last night. Police officers attacked by protesters with fireworks and other objects. Rioters also damaged City Hall and local businesses. We saw this last summer as well. Also, one person was injured during a drive-by shooting, which we brought to you here yesterday at George Floyd Square in Minneapolis. An Associated Press reporter you see ducking out of the scene there, out of the shot, sharing that footage the moment the gunshots rang out. The violence erupted as the family of George Floyd was meeting with President Biden at the White House, as well as lawmakers on Capitol Hill, urging them to pass the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. Let's welcome in now Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton to talk a little bit more about this and what's going on down in Texas. General, great to see you again.
Hey, good afternoon.
You know, I was reading your op-ed that you wrote last June, I think, about, what you're trying to do in Texas to address this. Obviously, there's concern from law enforcement about federalizing, police standards. You had asked the Texas state legislature to give your office more authority to look into police departments there in Texas. Can you talk to us about how that's going and if it's effective?
Well, I think it's much better when it's locally decided and let local citizens have input into what's going on. Much better than having a nationalized system, one size fits all, which some of the things that they're proposing in that act, I don't think make sense. I mean, there's certainly a need for some reform. There's certainly a need for people to have the opportunity to challenge some of these things that have happened. On the other hand, law enforcement has a very difficult job. They have to make split-second decisions that none of us would want to have to make about life and death. And there needs to be a balance here, because otherwise we're not going to be able to recruit police officers to protect us.
One of the things, too, about this is, and I think it's been lost in the conversation, is that Derek Chauvin is now a convicted murderer. He's being held accountable. He's going to jail for a very long time. But that's not enough. The due process, the Justice Department, the justice system, I should say, it worked in this case. And instead of that being a positive here, this is actually being portrayed still as a negative, and that more needs to be done.
Well, and I think your point is well taken. I think that's exactly the way this should have worked out. The system worked. It allowed for a prosecution of things that were done wrong. And I've always said, I don't think law enforcement should not be accountable if they do things that are wrong. If they're harming people, they have a lot of power, and they should be accountable for that power. On the other hand, they really do have a difficult job. And if we want people to come to this job, we can't make it so onerous and impossible that nobody wants to have the job. That doesn't work for our society.
No, it doesn't. I want to talk as well about what we're seeing down in Texas now amid this immigration crisis. There are cities all over Texas, including ones with Democratic mayors now, calling out the Biden administration for skyrocketing murder and crime rates. And this is more on a national perspective here, but we're seeing similar trends and, acute trends in Texas. And this is going on as we do see this immigration crisis. Some of the mayors are attributing it to the open borders. What are you seeing in Texas in terms of rising crime, and is it attributable to the border policies of the Biden administration?
No doubt. The Biden administration policies benefit one group primarily, and that's the cartels. And the cartels are making massive profits from this policy change from Trump to Biden. And they do it initially by charging people to come to this country. So they're trafficking people. They're making, at least in the Laredo area, about $8,000 per person. And it creates a tremendous incentive for them to want to bring more people to this country. So the Biden policies are creating incentives for the cartels to bring more people. What that also does is it opens up the border for more drug trafficking and other crimes, because now Border Patrol, who I was just meeting with yesterday in Laredo, they're distracted. They're having to deal with these kids, these families. And once these people come into our country, a lot of them are tracked by the cartels to be involved in crimes in other cities as they get moved around, which we're, of course, not told where they're being moved. But that is going to affect the entire country. This is not just a Texas problem. This is not just a border problem. It's coming to America. It's coming to your town. Yeah,
the mayor of Uvalde, Texas, one of those cities, a Democrat, calling out the Biden administration for these policies and what it's doing to his town. Let's talk about what President Trump had to say. He was on Newsmax last night with Steve Cortez on Cortez and Pellegrino, and here's what he told us about the Biden administration's border policies.
They're going to destroy this country. And forget about the children. They have people coming in from prisons. They have rapists. They have murderers. They have drug dealers. They have human traffickers, and they traffic in women mostly, which nobody likes to say.
You know, he said that the day he announced he was running for office. It was, of course, taken out of context so often, but nothing has really, he changed it a little bit. We saw a decrease in some of this activity, a couple of these caravans and crises, but they were snuffed out. And now, again, we're seeing the same kind of policies under the Biden administration that we saw, actually more open border policies, less deportation under this administration than the Obama administration. But that he really hits the nail on the head there with his assessment of this.
Yeah.
It's a big problem.
Yeah. President Trump it did an amazing job on the border. We had never had a president that corrected our problem in a better way. And the policies that worked, building the wall was a long-term solution, allowing Border Patrol to do their jobs, stopping this catch and release program that's ridiculous, sending people that have been convicted of crimes back instead of letting them out like Biden has done, and then making people stay in Mexico while they wait for their hearings on asylum. That whole process was being abused, because only a small percentage of people actually qualify, and they were being let in and then they disappear. So the Biden policies are they're just repeating what happened under Obama. We already know it didn't work. So they clearly know these policies are not going to work. But again, let me just repeat this. The cartels couldn't be happier with Biden administration. This is a cartel enabling bill. It's like a stimulus, economic stimulus package for the cartels.
Yeah, we interviewed Brian LeBaron last week. His family members were gunned down there in Mexico in the Mormon massacre down there. And, he talked about this as well. And we've seen this. We've seen pressure from the Mexican government on the Biden administration about getting serious on this issue. But they don't seem willing to do that. We don't see the vice president, who's supposed to be in charge of this, going down to the border either. So we wait. We wait and we watch this crisis continue. General Paxton, great to see you as always. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.